That's the only way to go live. How is everyone doing? How's the harping out yonder? How is the weather? Hey, Michael Dorr. Hey, how you doing? How's the harp and what harps are you playing there? I was doing a little bit of something I was trying out last night. I was saying like hakada hakada hak hakada haka. That hak really seems to close the glottis well. Huck. There's a hook. Lot you can do with that CK. Hakada, huck. But I'm not. Well, maybe I'll try adding a percussive in there. Hakada. Oh, that's cool. There I'm doing my percussive, that but I'm doing it on the in breath. Oh, hi, Joanne. How are you doing? I'm tote to tet, but on my tote to tet, I'm out, and then in hard. Tote to tet, but I'm doing a hard in breath on the last part. Oh, hey, Steve Packus, how are you doing? Just playing a Gorka Flat something. I don't even know exactly what to call them. I'm gonna have to message the maker and say, what do you call this style for the website? I spent all of Friday taking 188 photos for the website and shooting, I think, 40 videos, and lots going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. And the website's actually going to be doubling in size. I didn't even know what to call this pattern. I called it, I think, Alien 1. Hey, Monch DePel. I think I'm saying that right. How are you doing? Just playing some harps. Oh, I did some more artwork for the backdrop. You can't see it yet. I'm going to continue to spend, a night or two about every week to work on this. And I'm going to do it down to this level. And then when Donovan gets a little bit older, he can do the artwork down there. Check this out. That's what I've been working on, just this area here. And it's going to turn into an octopus that has harps on the end of them. And then this tentacle of the octopus goes into this fish's mouth. I'm doing that all with... I guess I'm covering up the microphone. You probably can't even hear me. I'm doing that all with permanent markers. It's going to be really cool once it's all done. I'm drinking a new type of tea, too. PG Tips. I'm not a huge fan of coffee because I'm sensitive to caffeine, but I do enjoy the tea. Oh, hey, Tina Schmidt. How are you? How am I? I'm pretty good. I had a really busy day today building this baby-proofing the top of our big staircase, which is quite a project today, and stayed up late last night working on the artwork, and then woke up super early because of Donovan, and took a nap right before the live upload. It was real nice. I'm finding that as a parent, it is apparent to require a nap on the weekends. I'm doing open and close on like an in breath. I'm in, but I'm letting some out breaths squeak through right after my close. And then when I fill all the way up with air, I'll start blowing outward and doing the same thing. And a harp with a draw, we'll just take a second to talk about that. I can actually take the same harp and take the drawback out of it by moving the reed down so it's completely flat with the decks. Here it sits just a tad bit in front of the decks. And that's what gives you your draw start. I can inhale and the harp sounds. I can actually clean up the tone by dropping this reed, pushing it, and bending it till it's back flat with the decks. And that will clean up the tone. I'll get better melodics off it, but then I'll lose the draw. So that's one trade-off you'll have in a harp with a draw, is that it won't be quite as clean, but you have the added dimension of a draw start. So and I don't work the draw starts a whole bunch. Like in the future, maybe in February, I'll concentrate on the draws. I've seen Steve Kinwald, at least in a video. I've never met him in person. He's one of my favorite players, but do a lot with the Morsing with draw starting up. What is that picture behind you of your head? Oh, sure, that is an awesome question. That is one that my wife drew a jaw harp. She drew a picture of basically the first harp I ever built. And then she drew it with a pencil and a pen, it looks like. And then Donovan did finger painting all over it. It was it was an excellent birthday present. Art for the studio and harp related. And it gave me the feels to get that. Something that is happening as of late, I've been doing lots and lots of open close. I used to always start with an open and then hit a close after it. I've been hitting lots of closing first and opening. Match to Pell says I want to give you an order. Oh, my store, and it's going to be doubling in size over the next couple of weeks, is theharpery.com, TheHarpery.com. And things are going pretty well with the Harpery. Harpery is going to be growing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to strike out and get away from my full-time HVAC job in 2019. If not, it'll probably be 2020. I'll be transitioning out of heating and air, I hope. I've become so obsessed with harps, and I really enjoy them, and it's my passion, and I would rather do that for a living. And if that happens, I'll be going back to build, well, not going back to, but transitioning over to building harps full-time too, which is something I love to do. Before I did the artwork last night, I concentrated on the art. Probably that little section up there probably had about, 120 minutes in. Well, maybe more like 90 minutes in that. I did a little bit of playing on something with really clean tone. Oh, Munarp, when properly done, are just... Oh, they're so clean but sparkly. Oh, that was a good time too. And after that, after I did a little bit of some more or Munhop playing, I put on an album on YouTube. It is Sig. I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation of this, but a Norwegian player, Sigjard Brook or Brock. I probably, if you're out there, Mr. Brock, I'm probably mispronouncing your mispronouncing your name, and I'm sorry, but it is spelled. The camera's probably going to invert it, but check this album out. I'll just write it down. There's 2 Ks. It's Sigurd Brook or Brock, Munharp 2 or Munop 2. And it's on YouTube, and I listened to it while I played or while I was doing artwork. And it's absolutely fantastic. It's lots of that foot tapping and a brilliant Munop player. George is having trouble finding YouTube homepage. Huh. But I think he's trying. I'm kind of getting some messages here. I think he's trying to find it from the live YouTube notice. Don't know what to do about that. Anyways. Oh, also, if you follow the channel, be sure to tap the bell icon so you'll get notifications when I go live, when I release videos. If that's something you're into. What else was I? Oh, I was playing on. Oh, Uncle George, what's up? Not my real uncle, but I refer to lots of people as aunts, uncles. We're all one big happy harping family. This is, and be sure to tap the bell icon. It'll give you notifications and whatnot. I probably should say that more often, but I forget. This is one I can't get anymore. Well, I talked to the maker on the phone this fall. This is, Bill Goring. Can I get another one of his harps? His harps are not loud, but I think they're kind of overlooked. Not because they're loud, but because they're really good, really melodic, really growly. If you can find any of these harps and you're into the quiet melodics, get yourself a Goring and sit down with it, and just the way they're done, the sustain, they just go and growl. Hey, Joseph Ozlowski, how are you doing? And the reeds on them, the triggers on them kind of tap a little bit, but that kind of adds something to the music. You have that tapping. That's one of those harps that just some of those really, really flexible reeded harps, they just seem to take off and just go. Kind of like the the little gingong and iron. Where is my? Oh, there you are. I see you. Oh, I forgot. I kept a Harm G0 too. Something about that really flexible reed and it being flared out. I don't know if there's any similarity in between a goring harp. It's wider at the back and then it tapers down. A couple other things I was going to talk about as we was on the topic of draw starts. When you have a harp that is hiding from you, there you be, it draws. It means the reed sitting in front of there. And actually, a reed can sit just barely in front of the decks a little bit and not draw start. And you can actually take the draw start out of a draw startable harp. I put my thumb on here and I press until it evens the reed and bends it down. Manchester's, But anyways, and when it sits flat with there, and I've done this with several of my Gorka that I didn't want draw starts on, it will have a lot cleaner, a lot of tone. Let's see if I got one. I can't remember if this one draws or not. Yeah, I took the draw start out of this one. It gives it a little bit cleaner of a tone. And that leads me to another thing I'm going to talk about. And it's probably going to be in an upcoming technique tutorial video about keeping your harps in line. Probably the most overlooked part of a harp, or alignment of a harp, especially when you get into making them, isn't the gaps. You can get gaps as tight as you want. You can get them down to where they're almost invisible, and the harp will be screaming loud, but it won't have good melodic content. It'll, instead of sounding like a bell ring, it'll sound like zzz, zzz. That is because if you hear that, that's because of you're off on this plane in this dimension. The reed runs down. You want it sitting absolutely level with the decks. If your reed sitting in there at an angle, you might be running flat with one side of the deck and then not flat with the other. What this causes is that the reed is, this is my theory. I'm not getting this from, this is my theory from making harps and studying harps. I'm not getting this from any other source, but this is my theory of why that is. We're just going to strap yourselves in. We're in for a little bit of a ramble. If you're off in this dimension, the reed is making sound as it compresses air on both sides of the gaps. So if your reed is misaligned, if the resting position of your reed is sitting like this with your decks, as that reed, when you look at a reed, if you look at it like in slow motion or just kind of see how it vibrates, it's vibrating all along there, kind of, I want to say on nodes, but I don't think that's correct. It's vibrating these big long waves all the way out to the tip. And if it's misaligned with there in this dimension, then it's making those waves out of phase. Or if you have one arm on the deck of the harp that's up and one that's down, it's making its sounds. If we're just going to call them clicks. When that reed is vibrating past there all along there, we're going to call them clicks. It's compressing air, and this is my theory on this. And if you're misaligned in this dimension, then it's making those out of time. So you're making two sound waves, and this is my theory. If we have two sound waves and it's properly aligned, those sound waves lay on top of each other, just like that. Now, if your reed is out of time, if it's out of alignment in that dimension, you are making your two sound waves are not overlapping. They're crossing at different points, so they're canceling each other out. Instead of reinforcing each other, they're actually working against each other, and that's what gives you that whoosh, whoosh. So if you have a harp that used to play really melodically, and you notice, well, it doesn't have that clean bell ring anymore, pluck it and draw in. Pluck it and blow out. If it doesn't take about the same amount of time to stop on the inward or the outward, then you know that it's sitting either a little bit in front or a little bit behind. And you can do this if you play your harp violently a lot, really aggressively, sometimes that reed will start to bend forward. If you play outward really aggressively, it'll bend forward and front, giving you a draw start, but ruining your melodic quality. You can actually, a lot of the time, take a harp, sight down it, and you can, if it's really extreme, you can see that the reed sits in front of the decks. So you take your thumb and lightly, don't do it very hard, especially on a hard reeded harp, you'll snap it off, and lightly push it back until it's aligned with there. Then you can do your test. Blow in, blow out, make sure it's the same. There's one where it's sitting in front by design. On my out, it stops right away. On my in, it keeps going because the reed's sitting in front. Now for a draw startable harp, if you want to keep the draw, then you can leave it like that. But if you want to reinstate the melodic quality of it, go ahead and move it back. Now the other area that harps get off, especially when they're being made, and especially as a new maker, if you're delving into making harps, is right at the back. You may have a harp reed that it looks like from the front of there, sits exactly perfectly aligned with your frames, but then at the back you have one arm where the harp twisted a little bit, either during crimping or either during making. So you have the reed sitting flat with most of the frame, and then at the back it's kicked up a little bit, and that will give you fuzz as well. Anyways, one other thing I was going to touch base on, click the bell icon if you want notifications. There was a dude who put a video out on YouTube. I think it's an older video. It's called Hora on the Morchang. It'll probably read as backwards, inverted, because this is a live video, but it's Hora on the Morchang. Look that up. I think he only had 5 subscribers. Found his video earlier when he messaged me. Fantastic open close on a Gorka harp. So be sure to check that out. I'm going to play. What should I play? We're kind of on a kick of playing really growly harps. We're going to go for about 5 more minutes, and we'll call it. Then I'll have these on the website in the next couple weeks. The website's going to do some dramatic expansion over the next couple weeks. I don't know if you're asking about the mic. I used Miss Tina Schmidt. This is a Shure MV5. I think it was about $80 on sale. Got it a year or two ago. Plugs right in the iPhone. Works really, really good for sitting down here. And I'll just cue you in on one of my little secrets. If I'm playing a really quiet harp, I have a Kleenex box, or you can use anything to prop this up, and I'll prop the mic up right here. So it'll be right below me for making my videos. Well, I'll make a really gnarly video playing something really quiet like the Gangong. I'll get it right up here, because you can get right up on this mic, but it'll make it a little bit louder. For playing really, really loud instruments, like if I get out a Masco or a Maxeyev or something like that, or my Maranzano, I'll actually take and I'll scoot it back just a touch. But I have really good results with them because it's just plug and play. You download an app and you put it in the side of your phone. But anyways, I'm not advertising for sure, but I really do like that microphone. Oh yeah, the G0, they're super flexible. They got lots of different tunings of the palm going up on the website. Anyways, I'm not here to sell harps. Oh yeah, talking about the third plane. That alignment I was speaking of earlier, of a reed being aligned with the decks, not the gaps in this dimension, but the alignment in this dimension, is really easy to troubleshoot amongst a certain type of harp. This is anything flat fronted is really easy to sight down, like a Glaserim. And I buy hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Glaserim. And they come packaged from Russia, from the maker Glaserim, all rubber banded together. Sometimes the reeds get bent a little bit forward or a little bit backward. And you can't even really see it by looking at the front of it. And you'll play it and it'll be like whoosh, 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 whoosh. It's not the harp's fault. It's just from packaging lots of harps and having lots of harps rattling against each other somewhat. And play it. If you have it inward versus outward, it's a little bit more. You can just give it pressure right here. If it's in front, give it pressure right there. It'll reinstate the good melodic tone of it, which most Glaserim are too saturated to give really clean melodics. But if they're misaligned in this dimension, they will give you that So if you find that it's moved a little bit forward, a little bit backward, and you can actually sight down it just like an arrow, and you can see And the glass rim are ground on both sides of the reed, front and back. So when you're sighting down, just look at the edge of the trigger. If you need to move it back here. If you need to move it forward on some of the smaller glass, I find it really helpful to have something like wooden or something where you can put it in there if you need to bend it forward, because you don't want to bend it clear up here. You don't want your reed bending like a banana. You want it just fulcruming at that point just a little bit, because that's the most often place they get bent. Because Glazerin can have a good bell ring, but it's all in the third plane alignment. Now, if you have a harp where the reed is ground on front, just flat ground on front, I wish I had something to draw on. But like Moxeyev, Fomenkoff, I've switched over. Harps I make now are just ground on one side. And I'm just going to draw a picture of this. We're getting into a little bit of a ramble. This is what I would call a single grind or a chisel grind. If we're looking at the reed like that, it's crooked, but it's just ground on front. That makes it really easy to line things, because wherever your decks are, you know that the back of that reed is always going to be your truest plane of alignment. If you have a harp that's ground, I'll call it a double grind. I don't know what it's actually called. If you have it ground on both sides of it, there's a cross section from the front. Sometimes there's little variations in the grind, and that will make them more challenging to align. We're going to play one more harp. We're going to call it good. We've had a good ramble today. I've really enjoyed it. Been a good week. The harper is really going to grow. I want to play one more harp. What is it going to be? I think I'm going to play the Ging Gong in Iron. I love y'all. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more harpery. Make sure to click the bell notifications if you want notifications. I love y'all. Keep your harps clean, keep them dry, keep them oiled. 2019 is such an exciting year. So many people are finding out about the harp. It's exciting to see what's happening on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, probably on other platforms I'm not on as well, that so many people are sharing videos. I encourage each and every one of you, next week, if you feel like it, if you feel comfortable with it, make a video of yourself talking about the harp, or sharing something about the harp, or playing the harp. Get the harp out there. It's good to share, and especially if you have a technique that you do, explain it, because one thing that I've found, it's easier to do a technique that you already know how to do just in playing than it is to explain it. Something about putting what you're doing into words, or contextualizing, if I'm using that correctly, deepens your understanding. So make a video teaching about some technique you are doing, because we can all learn from each other, because everyone does different variations of different stuff, and it's good to share that type of information. Anyways, I love y'all. Keep your harps clean, keep them dry, keep them oiled. 2019 is going to be an awesome year. Adios. Love y'all.